Empire Tales. Spartacus, the Gladiator King. Imagine a world where you are not a human being, but a piece of property. A world where your only purpose is to die for the entertainment of a cheering crowd in a blood-soaked arena. In the 1st century BC, the Roman Republic was at the height of its glory, built on the broken backs of millions of slaves. But from the darkness of a gladiator training school in Capua, a spark of rebellion was ignited that would grow into a wildfire, threatening to consume Rome itself. This is the epic saga of Spartacus, the Thracian who broke his chains and led an army of outcasts against the mightiest empire on earth. Part 1. From Warrior to Slave, the Chains of Rome. The story of Spartacus begins in Thracia, a land of fierce warriors in modern-day Bulgaria. History tells us he was once a soldier, perhaps even an auxiliary in the Roman army, before he was deserted or captured and sold into slavery. Because of his immense strength and military background, he was bought by a man named Lentulus Batiatus, the owner of Ludus, a gladiator training school in the city of Capua. Life in the Ludus was a living hell. Gladiators were fed just enough to keep them strong, but they lived in cramped cells, treated like prized cattle waiting for slaughter. Spartacus was a leader by nature, a man of high spirit and great physical prowess. He looked at his fellow captives, Gauls, Germans, and Thracians, and realized they shared a common enemy. In the year 73 BC, Spartacus and about 70 of his followers decided they would rather die fighting for freedom than kill each other for Roman sport. With nothing but kitchen knives and cleavers, they fought their way out of the school and fled to the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. Part 2. The Serpent on the Mountain. The Roman Senate initially dismissed the breakout as a minor police matter. They sent a small force under Gaius Claudius Glaber to surround the rebels on the mountain. Glaber did not even bother to fortify his camp, believing the slaves were trapped and would soon starve to death. It was a fatal mistake of Roman arrogance. Spartacus showed his tactical genius early. His men wove long ladders from the wild vines growing on the mountain cliffs. In the dead of night, they climbed down a sheer rock face that the Romans thought was impassable. They circled around the Roman camp and struck from behind, annihilating Glaber's forces and capturing their weapons and armor. Word of the victory spread like lightning through the Italian countryside. Thousands of runaway slaves, shepherds, and the desperate poor flocked to Spartacus. What began as a small band of 70 grew into a formidable army of over 70,000. Part 3. The Scourge of Italy, Defeating the Consuls. Spartacus was not just a fighter, he was a brilliant organizer. He divided his army by ethnicity and trained them in Roman-style formations, using captured equipment. He was aided by other leaders, like the fierce Gaul, Crixus. For 2 years, Spartacus led his army on a rampage across Italy, defeating every force the Romans sent against them. In 72 BC, the Senate finally realized the gravity of the situation. They sent both of Rome's consuls, the highest military commanders, with 2 full legions to crush this slave war. But Spartacus outmaneuvered them both in separate battles. He defeated the legions in the north and then turned back south, heading toward the Alps. His dream was simple: to lead his people out of Italy and back to their homelands in Gaul and Thracia, where they could live as free men. But his army, drunk on victory and loot, refused to leave. They wanted more Roman blood and more Roman gold. Spartacus, bound to his men, turned his army back into the heart of the Republic. Part 4. The Shadow of Crassus. Rome was now in a state of absolute panic. The city's elite feared that Spartacus would march on the capital itself. In desperation, the Senate turned to Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, and gave him absolute command over 8 legions, nearly 40,000 elite soldiers. Crassus was a man of cold, calculating cruelty. To discipline his troops, he revived the ancient and horrific practice of decimation, killing every 10th soldier in a unit that had shown cowardice. His message was clear: His men should fear him more than they feared the enemy. Crassus began to hunt Spartacus, building a massive wall across the toe of Italy to trap the rebels. Spartacus tried to negotiate with Cilician pirates to ferry his army to Sicily, but the pirates betrayed him, taking his gold and sailing away. Spartacus was trapped, with the ocean at his back and Crassus's legions closing in. Part 5. The Final Stand. The Battle of the Salaris River. In 71 BC, the final showdown took place near the Salaris River. Spartacus knew the end was near. Before the battle began, he reportedly killed his horse in front of his troops, telling them, "If we win, I shall have many fine horses. If we lose, I shall have no need for one." The battle was a chaotic, blood-soaked massacre. Spartacus fought like a demon, trying to cut his way through the Roman lines to kill Crassus himself. He was wounded in the thigh by a spear, but he continued to fight on his knees, shielding himself until he was overwhelmed by Roman soldiers. His body was never found, swallowed by the pile of the dead. The revenge of Crassus was as brutal as his rule. 6,000 survivors of the rebel army were captured to send a message that Rome would never tolerate another slave revolt. Crassus had all 6,000 men crucified along the Appian Way, the main road from Capua to Rome. For miles, the road was lined with dying men, a gruesome forest of crosses that stood for years as a warning to anyone who dared to dream of freedom. Part 6. The Eternal Symbol. Spartacus died, but his name became immortal. To the Romans, he was a terrifying bogeyman, but to history, he became something far greater. During the French Revolution and the rise of modern human rights, Spartacus was reimagined as a champion of the oppressed, a man who dared to stand against the most powerful system of slavery the world had ever seen. He was a man who proved that the human spirit cannot be entirely broken, no matter how heavy the chains. He transformed a group of desperate slaves into an army that defeated the masters of the world, and he did so not for gold or glory, but for the simple, divine right to be free. Legacy. I am Spartacus. Today, Spartacus lives on in movies, books, and the hearts of anyone fighting against injustice. He remains the ultimate symbol of the underdog, the warrior who fought for the dignity of the human soul. He was a Thracian, a slave, and a gladiator, but in the end, he was a king of men who chose to die on his feet rather than live on his knees. Thank you for watching this epic conclusion to our daily history batch. If you are inspired by the courage of those who fought for freedom, please subscribe to Empire Tales, like this video, and join our community. Your support helps us keep these legends alive. The past is never truly dead. It is just waiting to be told.